I'll be discussing about Carbon Disclosure Project, which is a non-market-based environmental practice which is geared towards reducing the CO2 emissions and contributing to the climate targets 2020, 2030, 2050. I'll be discussing about evidence from literature, the benefit of CDP, the challenges that CDP faces, and I'll do a conclusion. Before then, there's one thing we need to understand, that a carbon disclosure project is regarded as one of the voluntary environmental information that is geared towards collecting data that have to deal with your environmental footprint, your carbon footprint, and put that in reports. We know climate change is one of the biggest threats to humanity today, and if action is not taken, our life is endangered. The biodiversity, the ecosystem, agriculture, and human health are all there to be affected. Now, we need to understand what is a carbon disclosure project. Now, a carbon disclosure project is simply a practice, an act of collecting a CDP, a carbon footprint report of companies. Like assuming if I buy air ticket for my executives traveling to Dubai for an executive meeting, each passenger or each of these executives must have a certain amount of CO2 emission. This is one of the carbon footprint in terms of our traveling we have. So we have to track this and know how much of our carbon emission, how much do we contribute to CO2 emissions. Now, if you also buy a product, we know that the process of the product, is it done in a sustainable manner? Is the product produced using fossil fuel source of energy? Has the project been transported to our home countries in a logistic manner, in a sustainable logistic manner? Well, maybe not. So these are things that we capture and report at the end of any reporting cycle. But this project started in the year 2000s, and it runs as a global project where companies voluntarily disclose their carbon emissions. And these are all geared towards maintaining and ensure that we have a sustainable environment. So we have to understand their main mission and the objectives. The mission is to focus investors, companies, cities, and government on building a sustainable economy by measuring and acting on their environmental impact. What do you understand from this? A sustainable economy means a practice that is done in a sustainable manner without endangering the environment and also contributing to green economic growth. The objective is to see a thriving economy that works for people and the planet. Yes, the economy can grow, but the planet should not also suffer as a result of the economic growth. So, few literatures that I have been able to pick, we discuss about the Carbon Disclosure Project and what it can lead to. So we look at Nike et al., a study which was conducted in 2002. This was a study in Australia that focuses on companies, their environmental information context between 1998 to 2000. And the findings suggested that environmental disclosures are found within director's report, and there is lack in legislative requirement in most jurisdictions. So another literature by Al-Safi et al. 2019 was a carbon disclosure and financial performance report on a UK environmental policy. Then this suggested that firms' financial performance is linked directly to voluntary carbon disclosure. And we have another literature which discussed about the UK climate agreement as a case study to investigate voluntary environmental information. It also concludes that firms with lower level of energy efficiency tend to receive higher CCA tax deduction. Now, we have to look at an additional literature which also talks about the carbon disclosure and companies' performance and financial results. So we also have another article which talks about the determinant of corporate carbon disclosure, a step towards sustainable a sustainable environment. Now, what these articles argue is that Voluntary based market information, which includes carbon disclosure projects, can lead to a sustainable growth. This is a literature. This particular one infographic is from a research I've conducted for my master's program. It concludes that ESG, even though I am looking at the ESG, which is a little bit different from the CDP, but ESG, the environmental part of it, which looks at the carbon emission by companies, is one of the main determinant of the environmental impact, or the E element of the ESG. This suggests that companies with high ESG rating tends to have better financial performance. And we also look at the growth of CDP disclosures. Between 2000, early 2000s, the growth was a little bit low. We have very few companies that were ready to disclose their information. As of 2022, this has risen to over 12,000 companies that are disclosing their carbon footprint. Majority of this only focuses on the climate disclosures and forgetting water security and disclosure on the forestry. We have to understand that water security as sea levels have risen. A study which was conducted for Korea, for example, between 2016 to 2020, there has been 1.1% increase in the sea levels. And this is what is leading to flood and other natural disasters affecting humanity. The forestries are a major source of blue carbons. So companies should also consider looking at what impact do they have on the forestry, particularly for companies that rely heavily on forestry products. Then we have the format of it, which is basically talking about the greenhouse gas emission, should be reported emission reduction targets, the climate change risks and mitigation strategies, and then opportunities for improvement. So we cannot conclude this without looking at the benefits of voluntary environmental-based information, such as the CPD. We know it contributes to environmental sustainability. Of course, you're going to reduce the CO2 emissions. The more you disclose your information to the public, the more you become aware that, yes, I need to reduce my CO2 emission. What do I have to do? Then you take actions. The social sustainability is when the environment is protected, when you have reduced the CO2 emission, you're also likely going to reduce the impact on people's health. And that could be improvement in health. Improvement in health means improvement in people's life, and improvement on the economy, because it's only a healthy person that can do any productive activity in society. And of course, this leads to the economic sustainability. Companies could have financial gains from this, like we have seen in literature for UK companies that has tax cut as a result of their energy efficiency and access to finance. A lot of financiers now are linking access to finance to the environmental impact of the companies. We need to understand that this cannot also go without challenges. So, in collecting data for CDP is quite a difficult thing. And as a result, data collection becomes so expensive. On average, annually, over 500 million, over $500,000 will be spent on data collection, on the greenhouse gas analysis, climate scenario analysis, and internal climate risk management controls. Now, another challenge is data comparability and standardization. There is no universal accepted standard which talks about collecting data and reporting it. Of course, the International Sustainability Reporting Board is working in terms of making sure there is a sustainable climate and there is a universally acceptable climate disclosures. This has led to the development and publishing of IFRS S2 and S1, S1 and S2, the climate change action disclosures on the financial statement of companies that are IFRS compliant. The next challenge would be data greenwashing. We know where there is no standardization, companies can often report on the manner they wish, and this often results to portraying themselves to be environmentally friendly when they are not really environmentally friendly. So this is a major challenge. which we hope to see a reduction with the introduction of sustainable reporting standards, sustainability reporting standard board. Then the other challenges will be less improvement on the financial performance. Some literatures argue that this does not lead to improvement of financial performance, even though we have discussed that it leads to it. And others also say this is just a matter of reporting without taking any action. People just report their environmental footprint and no action is taken. And in conclusion, I would like to say that environmental initiatives benefit companies by enhancing reputation, reducing cost, and engaging stakeholders, while also contributing to sustainability, innovation, and positive environmental impact. Remember, the climate is here for all. Protecting the climate is not a personal responsibility. It's not an individual responsibility, but it's a collective responsibility. Each and every individual have the right to protect the environment and have the responsibility to protect the environment. The environment belongs to all. Your action is needed. Thank you.